Welcome, everybody, to the Pitch Strike Chronicles, brought to you by Northeast Streaming Sports, SportsWire Radio, YouTube, Twitch. Everywhere you could find baseball, you can find us. We will be breaking down everything from Game 1 last night about Cole's outing, Anthony Rizzo, Bader, Donaldson forgot how to run bases, IKF making errors off the gate. We will be breaking it all down right here on Pitch Strike Chronicles. All right, welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I am Chats. I am here with Rob, Big Blue in the Bronx. What's up? So, Rob, we go into Game 1. We're not sure what we're going to get out of Cole. You know, his last postseason start was not his finest moment, but when you see the way he was able to get through the first inning struggles, because he threw a lot of pitches in that first inning, getting out of that inning without damage, did that leave you with any assurance that, you know, he might be getting ready to give us an outing that we've been waiting for?
Yes and no, because we've seen him fall in that kind of inning before, where the error happens and he starts the domino effect of giving up hit after hit. That didn't happen in the first, but it happened in, the third inning, where Kwan hit the home run, and then he hit the next guy, and then you're like, here we go, and the bases were loaded. There was that weird play where Rizzo didn't take the sure out, and you're like, this is where it falls apart. But he only gave up the one run to Kwan, so you're like, okay, maybe this is the Garrett Cole that we've been asking for, because in the regular season, he doesn't get out of that without at least another run scoring, at least one more.
Yeah.
So he shut me up. I was ecstatic about it. I was very happy with it. This is what we were asking for. We said it in our preview show when we had Chris on. We said everything that happened in the regular season gets erased, gets forgotten about if you perform in October. And he performed last night. He gave us a chance to win that game, and exactly what we needed him to do. I wish he would have went the whole seventh inning, but what he did was brilliant. That was ace-like stuff last night, and it was enough for us to get the W.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, him being able, when you look at the amount of pitches he throws in the first, my first thought was, this is going to turn into a bullpen game, and we're going to burn our bullpen right off the gate. But he was able to battle through, and I thought that showed a lot of. I thought he might not have had all of his best stuff, but he was determined to make an impact on the game. He was going to battle through it and give us a good outing. That one play that you were talking about with Rizzo, yeah, that one was that one was confusing, because he did have, you know, that could have been, you know, more of a double play than anything, but it was, you know, what happened. You know, you can't erase it, you can't take it back. You very rarely will see a hiccup like that from Rizzo. So I think that's one that we could just erase. You could act like it never happened. But the error right off the bat from IKF had me losing my mind. You know, especially because, you know, we've seen this so many times in the past throughout the season, and you opted to hold on to him rather than Peraza, that you going, all right, they already made, you know, we already noticed that their roster mistake. You know, they already made that. The Yankees already put themselves behind the eight ball, not having going strong on the defensive end, like we talked about. What they needed to do was shore up the defense behind their pitching, so the pitchers can pitch more comfortably, saying, all right, if I do get a ground ball, at least it's not going to hurt me. It did hurt them, you know, and that's what extended that first inning for Cole. So it did have that snowball effect. But in the long run, when he's only giving up, I think it was 1 run, 3 hits, you know, you have to sign up for that, you know, especially after all the days off. It's not like the other teams that we saw throughout the first games of the LDS series in baseball. The starting pitches for the teams that had the bye were not sharp. You know, Verlander got knocked around. He never gets knocked around. We saw what happened, with the Phillies came out hot against Atlanta. So, the Cole needed to disrupt the trend of the teams that were on rest. And I think he did that as good as he could.
Yeah, with IKF in that first inning error, it was almost like, well, we told you so, because everyone was screaming for Peraza. And I can't stress enough, I don't have an issue with IKF as a utility player or being on the roster. I just don't think he should be the shortstop in October. And I don't think he should be handicapping that position right now. He shouldn't be holding it hostage. And it happened twice. He made two bad plays because when Cole got taken out, it was because the ball hit off IKF's gloves. So you're like, it's twice now that he's screwed Garrett Cole in one game. But to his credit, he did come up with that big hit that was misplayed in the outfield, which he got to third base, ended up scoring on the Trevino sac fly. So it's kind of made up for that first error, but then he made that second misplay, and you're like, stop. You were doing well. You made us forget about the first inning error, and then you go, it wasn't an error, but it's like you got to make that play at short. So it's interesting with IKF. I think we all knew it was going to be him. We just wanted them to kind of think smart for once and be like, he's a weapon off the bench, because right now our bench is because you have Carpenter, Locastro, who's not a bat. He's just a pinch runner. Peraza can at least provide you some offense off the bench if you have to bring him in late in the game. So I just don't like the fact that Peraza was left off the roster, and I don't like that immediately out of the gate IKF was showing why we complain about him. It's not because he's a bad player. He's a bad or below average shortstop. He's a fine third baseman. He's a fine shortstop in a pinch if you need it, if there's no other option, but he should not be locked into the position when you have Peraza, who's already proven to be better at the position. So that's just my frustration. But at the very least, the bottom of the order did come through. It's one of the things that I mentioned going into the series is we know what the top of the order can do. Rizzo provided that last night, but it was going to be who steps up in those final three spots. Last night, it was Bader with the home run. And then IKF with the single turned into getting the third base, and then Trevino sac fly. That's what you need in October. It could be anybody. And I liked our lineup for game one because considering the circumstances, you can't have Carpenter play just yet. He's probably a bench piece, and you have to go with Donaldson because LeMahieu's out. I like the lineup, and it came through when we needed it to. And, it's just IKF's defense. It's that infield is so good if we just had a more sure-handed shortstop.
Yeah, no, because that's exactly, what happened yesterday was everything that we talked about in the preview of what we expected to happen but didn't want to see happen. So that's where everything kind of, gave us a little extra bravado that, see, we told you so. But let's go to Bader's home run real quick. It wasn't a monstrous point in the game, but it tied up it gave us a run. It even leveled the score. But at the same time, it goes to show that when you're a Yankee in the postseason, anybody can have their moment. Anybody can make an impact. And for a player like Bader, where it was always all the bolstering was about how great his defense was, solid bat, phenomenal defense. But last night he was able to show he can elevate the ball as well. So I thought it was really cool that a guy that you wouldn't have expected to hit the home run was the guy that did. So, what's up, Hector? Salute. And it was Bader, that home run, it almost had you going, who is it, bat? You weren't expecting it to be him to hit that long ball to tie it up.
First, before I get into my point about Bader, I just want to say Jordan Montgomery couldn't do that. And second of all, I disagree with you because I think it was a monstrous point in the game because we had just gotten out of that inning unscathed or technically unscathed. He gave up the one run and then kept them off the board. And then Bader ties it up. That was a pretty big moment because the momentum swung in our favor. You're like, Cole gets out of a jam that he hasn't gotten out of all season. And then we tie the game. Now the momentum's in our favor. Next thing you know, we get a couple of guys on, a couple innings later, and we put up we put up the go-ahead run. So exactly, Monty who? I've been screaming it since the trade. He didn't even start for the Cardinals in their playoff series. So, I mean, there you go. Here's Bader, first playoff game as a Yankee, hitting a game-tying home run in a pretty big spot. So I like Jordan Montgomery, but he's not doing this in October. He can't. He doesn't swing the bat. And how do you win baseball games? You just score more than the other team. Jordan Montgomery wasn't hitting a game-tying home run last night. So, yeah, I like Bader a lot. He brings a lot to the table. We knew he had a good bat. He wasn't known as a power bat, but Yankee Stadium, they call it a Little League park, whatever you want to call it. A lot of balls get out of that park. So I like it. I loved seeing what Bader did last night, and he's bought into this, man. He's happy to be here, and that's what we want. He's a gamer, and the Cardinals fans told us what he is. You're going to love him, and I think we all love him.
Now, what'd you take out of Judge's at bats? Because it almost seems like from what I was from listening and watching was he was reverting back to some bad habits where he was, where we saw it during the home run chase, he was being extremely selective on the pitches that he was going to swing at. And he kind of reverted back where it seemed like he was kind of pressing a little bit to contribute to the Yankees' success in Game 1. Did you notice at all if Judge was kind of pushing it a little bit and not being as patient?
He did draw the one walk, but Cleveland challenged him respectfully.
Yeah.
If you realize the way they were pitching him up, same way they pitched to Stanton. They were saying if you're going to beat us, it's going to be because you maybe jammed one and got it over the gloves of the infielders. They were not going to let him get anything to hit, which is smart. So he was doing what he could, I guess. I mean, yeah, the strikeouts aren't a good thing, but at the very least, the walk led to the Rizzo home run, which put us over the top for the victory. So I don't think they were bad at bats. I don't think he was pressing too much, but I just think it's going to be a point. It's whether it's this series or if we advance in the ALCS, he's going to have a big hit. He hasn't been like the greatest playoff hitter, but he's had some big hits. So you're kind of expecting him to get one eventually. So one game, I'm not going to be too worried, but if this carries on the whole series, you might start looking into maybe changing the order up a little bit, getting him out of that leadoff spot. So for one game, I'm not too worried about it, but we'll see what happens in Game 2. If there's anybody in this lineup I trust to make an adjustment after a game, it's Aaron Judge.
I don't think that it's going to be an issue that carries over from game to game, but it was just something that I noticed. It wasn't a big deal, but it was just something that I had noticed that he had stopped doing, and when you go back to doing, when you go back to it in a postseason environment, it was just a very faded red flag for me. Not a big red flag, but just something that's like, all right, he can't keep doing that if he wants to make an impact on the postseason. So I do expect, in tomorrow's game that he's going to be able to readjust that really quick.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Aaron Judge. This is the best player in baseball right now, so he'll be fine.
Now, the bullpen. It was one of, if not everybody's biggest question mark going into this. They were able to hold down that lead, without getting themselves into too much trouble. I think that in the beginning, I'm going, all right, obviously we knew that they were going to have to go to the bullpen. When he started really going into the mixing and matching and not letting the relievers go into extended innings or, facing too many batters, was that the strategy not to wear them out, or at the same time to keep the Guardians' bats off balance by not knowing how to approach their at-bats into the bullpen? Do you think that was you think that this is a strategy that can save the bullpen throughout the series?
I doubt it, because Loaizaga didn't come in a clean inning, and he almost struggled. He gave up the leadoff hit in the eighth, and then got taken out. Wandy did a fantastic job. And then he did the same thing in the ninth. Wandy gets the first out, they pinch hit, and he brings in Clay Holmes, who hits the first batter. So I didn't like it. I think in October, you got to let guys finish innings. Wandy was pitching lights out. Now, with the day off, with the weird scheduling, there's no reason to take him out of that game because he gets a day off. He hasn't pitched in like a few weeks or whatever it's been. A day off, and he gets to pitch again tomorrow. I think he'll be fine. So with the Efros injury that no one saw coming, you have to really figure out who that guy is, and it's still not Clay Holmes because he looked bad once again. Hits the first guy. He was missing spots. He got the ground out, and then he got the fly out, but it's Miles Straw. So you weren't too worried about what he was going to do at the plate. But I don't know. I just don't trust Clay Holmes. I haven't trusted him for about 3 months now. So I think you got to go Wandy, and maybe tomorrow night they try Trevino out. We've saw Tyone warming up. Maybe he becomes a closer. I would trust him more than Clay Holmes at this point. So they got to figure it out. That's my biggest concern. And it's what we talked about on the show Monday. Our biggest concern is this bullpen. Yeah. Because if they can't protect, and they didn't give up the lead yesterday, but my goodness, they could have. They were just one swing away from it being a one-run game, and that's never a good thing in October because the pendulum swings faster. The momentum bar shifts faster in October than any other month. So you got to have a lockdown bullpen. And I don't know who – I know Wandy's so far so good, but Holmes still gives me reason to bite my nails off, and Loizaga was iffy at best.
Yeah, no, Wandy, I thought really his first time back, I think he looked really strong, especially in that postseason environment. The pressure also on top of it. So Peralta, I thought that was going to be one of the missing pieces in the bullpen, and him coming back the way he did and being as effective as he was gives me assurance that at least we have somebody that we can depend on, and we'll just see how it goes, game to game, and also how Boone uses the bullpen. And let's get to Elliott's comment here. Not to sound vague, but I think the bullpen used reflected how the teams have a day off tomorrow and today, that is, and Boone worked it that way. I think the day off today was a factor, trying to get everybody loose because of the layover. Nobody's pitched, nobody's hit, nobody's fielded for a few days. So you want to try to keep all your key pieces, ready to go at a moment's notice. But it's also game one is a very important game to get in the series. You can't mix and match and experiment, especially when you already have a lead. You need to make sure that you put your best out. Don't worry about, let them do bullpen sessions if they have to. Let them throw in the locker room if they have to get loose. You can't have them trying things out in a game one.
Right. I would have rather if Cole finished the seventh, because with the weird scheduling, plus they might not even play Thursday because the weather doesn't really check out. So it might get pushed back and they might have to play like 4 days in a row. So if anything, Cole could play Saturday. He had to pitch on short rest, maybe Sunday. So he'd be fine to go back for a seventh inning of work. I didn't like taking Cole out in the seventh, and I didn't like taking Wandy out after they made the pinch hit move. I thought just let him finish the job because he was looking fine. Clay Holmes came in and he hit the first guy, and you're just like, stop doing that because his command has been so bad for like 4 or 5 months now, whatever it's been. So I didn't like going to Holmes there. It didn't help. It didn't hurt at the end of the day, but it made us shake, and we were like, oh my God, please don't do this right now. I did not like that decision by Boone. It didn't hurt us, like I just said, but he can't be doing that against a team like Houston or Seattle if we play them in the AL. If we get past Cleveland, because they're like probably the worst offensive team in the playoffs right now. If we have to go to the LCS and play Seattle or Houston, and he's doing this okie doke crap, he's gonna get burned, and we can't let that happen.
Yeah, before we rewind a little bit to get Donald's takes on some of the things we talked about, Donald, your thoughts on the bullpen usage last night?
I thought that, I wouldn't have put in Holmes, but my feelings on Holmes are well known. I think Peralta did more than enough. Also, shout out to Loizaga, man. He's been in the lockdown since since I would say the All-Star break. He's been really, really good. And he inherits runners, and he doesn't allow runners to score. So he's been great. Garrett Cole was fantastic. So happy with the pitching staff in general. But yeah, I was surprised that he went with Holmes. I wouldn't have done that either.
What do you think about Peralta on the mound? How'd you feel about him in his first time? It's really his first outing back.
Well, as I say, I wouldn't have changed him. If he ain't broke, don't fix it. Is a saying that I subscribe to. So he was not broke last night, so I wouldn't have tried to fix it.
Nope. All right. So to rewind a little bit, so it'll be kind of like rapid fire questions to you to get you caught up on the show and what we were already talking about. Your favorite, one of your favorite players, IKF, first inning, makes the error. What's going through your head?
Asshole. Next.
One word. That's it. Huh? All right. So
next question.
Cole's first inning, he had to throw a lot of pitches. Did that leave you concerned about how deep he was going to be able to go into a game, and if that was going to cause him to unravel at all?
You're always concerned, especially when IKF made that error. I was like, uh-oh. Because normally when IKF errors, Garrett Cole melts down. Garrett Cole in the first 3 innings or so was leaving sliders and fastballs up over the middle of the plate, and they were getting hit. But then after he'll give up the home run was a big test for Garrett Cole, because normally he struggles after giving up 1 home run. But this time he locked it down, and he was fantastic. So the narrative that he can't pitch in the playoffs is over. He was really, really good. Really good. He did his job, man. We needed him desperately. And he stepped up. So big shout out, big tip of the cap to Garrett Cole. It was a very difficult situation, especially after giving up the first run, bases loaded, 1 out. That could have gone a number of ways. It didn't look like it was going to go well for us, but he locked it down even tighter. Then after that, he sailed right through. So big tip of the cap to Garrett Cole.
Yeah. Bader's home run. Did that swing the pendulum into the Yankees' favor? And was that a player you would expect to be able to rise to a moment like that and get that big of a hit?
I love the trade. I still would have done that trade 100 times out of 100. I know it wasn't a popular take at the time, but I thought Bader was going to be really good for us. We need a center fielder, because otherwise Aaron Hicks would be playing center field. And if Aaron Hicks was playing in Bader's spot, there's no home run being hit. A lot of balls are being put over his head. So we should be very, very thankful that we've got a proper center fielder out there, and it paid off. So I'm no fan of Brian Cashman over the last 12 months, 18 months, but on this occasion, that was the right trade to make. It really wasn't. It was because Montgomery had no role in this team in the playoffs. Bader has a big role to play.
Yeah. So I want to ask this question, and anybody watching, you can chime in as well. Was there a player that did not have a big hit or a big play that surprised you?
Probably
In what
Stanton.
way?
I guess I was expecting Stanton to probably launch one over the subways, but I guess I wasn't surprised that Judge didn't go deep because he just exhausted himself for 57 games. But Stanton, I thought, would have had for the first game of the playoffs, we expect him to do something. I thought he was going to have one, but I wasn't really upset with anything in terms of I was upset with Donaldson's base running, but that's one thing. No one really bothered me. I thought it was a pretty well-played game from the 4th inning on.
It was, yeah.
They played pretty sloppy early. But
I text Rob. I was like, we are playing absolute utter garbage. I said it's a tie game that could only be a win for us. And that's how it turned out, because they started to play a lot better right after I texted on that. Josh Donaldson made some great plays at third. My question to you guys, that home run that Josh Donaldson hit, A, did it deflect off somebody in the stands' hands or not? B, was it Donaldson's fault for not hustling, or was it the first base coach's fault for kind of celebrating the home run that wasn't a home run. Who do you put the blame on?
Right there. The first base coach has to know how to read that ball.
Yep.
So the first base coach celebrating that the players, they're watching the launch, but they're also paying attention to their base coaches, because that's where they get their lead from. That's where, they're instructed of what to do. So the first base coach should have treated it like it was going to be, a long single. And then if it goes over the wall, then from first, then you continue trotting around. So I think that with the way that the first base coach was celebrating, that Donaldson thought he had it. And everybody thought he had it. The fans all thought it. Even, the fans thought it. All the announcers were thought it was gone. So everybody, non-home run confused everybody but the Guardian outfielders.
Yeah, I mean, originally the first time I watched it, I was like, why didn't Donaldson hustle? But then watching it back, he looked at the first base coach who high-fived him, and then the music went on, the sirens went on for hitting a home run.
Yeah.
So Donaldson just naturally went in his home run trot. I actually can't blame him on this occasion. Normally I would, but this time I think it's on the first base coach. First base coach is on him. If there's any question whether it's a home run or not, he should have directed him to stay at first instead of trot right around or tell him to hustle. But he didn't, and it looked like he was kind of celebrating the home run himself. So, I mean, I would have made the same mistake. I think anybody in the same spot would have made the same mistake. So I don't really hold that on Donaldson at all.
Yeah, and like Elliot said, it's everybody thought it was gone. So yeah, I'm with you, Donald. I really can't blame him for that one. I really can't. As much as we get on Donaldson for and the Yankees overall for all the base running blunders that they have. That's one you just you got to just let it go. That's not one that you could really kill him for. I think
it was a freak thing. That only happens like once. It's a once in a million thing. That does not happen often.
I will say this about Donaldson, because we said it, I think it was Monday's show with Donald, that if there's ever a time for him to step up, because he hasn't given us pretty much anything to be happy about except for the walk-off grand slam that he hit. This is a time for him to not shut me up because I'm still going to hate the trade, but for him to show us that he can still do something, provide something for us, because LeMahieu's out. He's going to play every day. This is his opportunity to really make something happen. And he had a pretty good game yesterday. Yeah, he hit the ball pretty well. I thought it was a home run. I can't really blame him for thinking it was a homer because he's pimped flyouts before. So if there's anybody that's going to pimp anything on this team, it's him. So the first base coach has to know who's running the bases there and be like, all right, run. So, but he played fine at third base. He's been doing that all season long. So if this is a time where he turns on that switch and says, okay, I got to be $25 million Josh Donaldson right now, great. Because we'll forget about everything that happened in the regular season, just like we said about Garrett Cole. It won't matter. If he performs in October, all is forgiven. So far, I can't complain about Josh Donaldson. Would I have liked to see him hustle? Sure, but do I blame him for pimping out a home run that he thought was a home run? No, because anyone else would have done it. Anybody else. It's because it was Donaldson that in the moment we're all like, you idiot, you've done this all season. This is like the fifth time now. But if it was anybody else, you'd be like, I can see why he thought it was a home run. It's because of who it was, because we've had so much to be angry about with Donaldson.
Yeah, like if that was Judge, that would have been like a very laughable moment. Oh, could you believe he did that? Because one, you'll know it'll never happen again. And two, like Donald, like you were saying, it was such a rare moment. You'll never see, that's something you never see in baseball. That is a rarity among rarities. So you do have to just laugh it off.
Yeah, there's not a lot we could have done about that.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap things up for us on the Roku end on Northeast Streaming Sports. We do want to thank everybody for watching. Wear your pinstripe, your pride, and play hard.
IKF stinks.
So now that we now we can get into the fun, a little fun part of the show, because it will include a little bit of language because it was very frustrating. But I do have a story. Spencer has been he had to coach me through this all night, but I was fortunate to be gifted a couple of tickets to last night's game. So I get a phone call on the boat. Hey, I have 2 tickets. Do you want them? Absolutely. Now I call my son. I'm like, hey, come to the game with me. So Josh and I, we get in the car and we're getting ready to go. By the time I get back from the boat and in the car, so now it's about 5:30. We leave the house. First pitch is 7:37. So I'm like, all right, we have 2 hours to get to the stadium with traffic. We'll be fine.
Cutting it close, man.
Now, but this is where it gets really fun. So we're going. We hit the Major Deegan. Okay. Now, coming off the Cross Bronx, for people that don't know, from the Cross Bronx, when you get to the Major Deegan to the exit to Yankee Stadium, is 1.5 miles. Okay. An hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
Hour and 20 minutes. I'm losing my mind. Okay. So now we finally get off the highway. Now we're looking at all the stadium traffic. The first parking garage, it's full. All right. I expected that.
What time are we at this point? What time are you at?
At this point, it is 7:45.
7:45? The game started at 6:30.
Yep. So now we're driving around. We make our way over to another parking garage. Full. We go to the next one. Full. 6 parking lots and garages. Full. So now I'm going, shit, now what do I do? Now I'm driving all over.
And is your son still in the car with you, or did you let him out to go to the game?
So about 9 o'clock. I'm still looking for a parking spot. The parking last night was horrendous. I even stopped next to a cop. And I'm like, dude, you got to help me out. I said, I'm trying to find a parking spot. Like, where could I go? And he's going, I don't know what to tell you. He goes, there's really nowhere for you to go. All the lots are full. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. By 9:15, I am so frustrated. I almost racked up my truck because, now I'm just not even paying attention. I'm just driving. So I almost totaled my car. I'm like, so I saw the stadium, but what I will be able to say so now we have the radio, we're listening to John and Susan, we have the radio down low, and we roll the windows down, and even blocks away from the stadium, you could hear everybody. You could hear all the cheers. That stadium, if you were in there, you probably needed earplugs because the stadium was so loud. And it was like, all right, now that's even adding to my frustrations because I want to be a part of that. So we got to the stadium. It was, by then, I'm like, I'm not getting into this game. Since there was absolutely no parking anywhere. So for 2 hours, we drove around looking for parking to never find a parking spot.
You were better off just leaving your car somewhere in the Bronx and hoping it didn't get stolen than driving around for 2 hours.
No, I should have had my son take video of us trying to get down the streets because everybody walks right in front of you. There were cars double, triple parked. Like, it was just, everywhere we were trying. I'm like, I'm even looking for like a little mini mall to just park and we would have Ubered to the stadium at that point. But
did you make it to the game at all?
Nope. And I really think I had enough frustration. I probably could have taken somebody's life without regret. I was so pissed off. I felt so bad for, I felt bad for my son. He had to be in the passenger seat watching his father go ballistic.
Why didn't you just let him out?
And what?
So
Let
at
him
least-
sit in the game and I drive around like a lunatic?
Oh yeah, it is your son.
Let him
Uh-uh,
enjoy
I
it.
mean, it's selfish of you, Taz. At least one of you has to enjoy it.
Yep. But yeah, it was terrible, terrible. And so yeah, that it would have been my first playoff game.
Dude, I'm heartbroken for you because I would have been destroyed. But why didn't you get a train?
Because of the train schedules, we wouldn't have gotten there till 9 o'clock anyway.
Well, you didn't get there till 9 o'clock anyway in the first
No,
place.
but it was just easier to get home from. I called my son. I'm like, all right, I'm on my way home from the boat. Meet me at the house. I pulled up. Josh is there. He pulled in seconds before. We pretty much. I get in the house. I put all my fishing gear away. I put on a Yankee jersey and I run out, and we were on the road. Like there was no. All right, let me do. And I've been up since 5 a.m, so I'm exhausted. So I hadn't eaten. I could feel my sugar levels were all out of whack. I'm like, there's nowhere to stop to get something to eat while we're driving around. It was such a tats shit show. Like
It is.
this is a Mount Rushmore tats moment. That's how my night was.
So what time were you offered the tickets?
It was around 10 in the morning.
What time did you leave the boat?
We were already on the water. So I was already about an hour and a half away from land. But I'm on a charter boat. It's not like I'm driving the boat.
Yeah, you should.
So the fishing trip ended at 3:00. So by the time I got off the boat, it was 4:00. I was back home by 5. We were back in the car by 5:15.
You should have pulled a.
You couldn't ask them to dock at some point before midday.
No, I got
So at
there's
least let
30
you
other
off?
people on the boat. I'm going to tell everybody, I turn around so I can go to a ball game.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you should have done.
Fucking playoff Yankee baseball,
Believe me,
man.
as good friends as I am with the owners of the boat, that would not have happened.
It's playoff Yankee baseball. Man. Jeez.
He did no. Originally, he wanted to stay out on the water till 5. So he did call it, go because yesterday was also an opening day for blackfish season, which is that's a big winter catch. So nobody really cares about it what the fish was, but it's a really hard fish to catch, very challenging.
That's
and
playoff Yankee baseball is potentially once in a lifetime experience, man. Like, that should have been priority number one.
No, if I had had the ticket, and not to say, not to put this where I wish I would have known earlier, but at the same time, if I did know earlier, I wouldn't have. I would have just canceled the fishing trip and just went to the game. I would have just said to Josh, "Hey, take half a day off of work. I want to be in the Bronx by 3." That wasn't, I just did not have that option. It was like, okay, so now I'm trying to fish while watching the clock all day. So I was like I was on like cloud 9. I'm like, day off of work.
I feel terrible for Josh in this story. What an awful situation for the guy.
Well, the worst part for him is he does sales. So he's in the car for 10 hours a day. Now he's stuck in the car. He was in a car for 15 hours yesterday.
Yeah, and about 5 of them were spent with you going ballistic. But here's the thing: at 5 o'clock, people were already like in the stadium, like it was already full. So you were never getting a parking spot at that point.
Nope, never ever.
You should have parked in like Brooklyn and tried to walk in.
I remember the last game I went to. Right, I Ubered to the stadium. What was it? An hour and a half before opening pitch, and I didn't get in until 5 minutes after the first pitch because the queues is round the fucking block. Because they've got a very annoying one-way system that winds all the way around the whole stadium until you get in, and that took forever. And that was just a regular season game. So playoffs, plus the fact that I only Ubered and you actually had to drive, forget about it. That needs to be there way in advance, hours in advance.
Yeah, so it was a lesson learned, either pass up on the tickets because you're not going to get there anyway. Never mind the wear. All the gas I was going through, burning through the gas because now I'm driving like a fucking lunatic. Yeah.
I'm just relieved that everybody made it out unscathed. At least you'll have another game that you could potentially go to, or is that you shot now?
I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have to pay for those tickets that you didn't get to enjoy?
No, no, I do not.
Okay, that's good.
So it was a gift. So
that's heartbreaking, man.
I did offer money, because I felt that was fair. So yeah, that was, and yeah. See, even Spencer's telling you it was loud. So,
Elliot was in there. Congratulations,
Elliot,
you made it in, Elliot. Apparently, this is a lot harder than we knew about to get even in the place.
What time did you get there, Elliot? If you're still in the chat, what time did you get there? And I like how Morning Brew is just laughing at you. Just as LOL. Very simple. He's just laughing at you. Like how? Oh boy! Oh, it's a Bobby Tats moment.
It is.
I've had my share.
This is our imperious leader. He gets tickets for a Yankee playoff game and can't get in. For one reason or another.
It's the story of my life.
You should have told everyone on that boat, unless you want to be swimming with these fishes, you should turn this damn boat around because I got to get to the Bronx.
That's it. That's okay. Come on, you're in New York, man. People know that shit. It's the Yankees above everything. I'd have freaking swum to shore. I'd have fucking swum with the sharks to get to freaking land at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That boat would have sunk like the Titanic if I had those tickets offered to me.
I'd have thrown that guy aside and be like, I'm driving this fucking boat. I am the captain now, as in the scene Captain Phillips.
Yeah,
I am your captain now. Irish. Irish, I am your captain now. And then I'd have fucking driven that fucking thing to shore.
Yeah.
The police can get me after.
It was
a massive fail from Tats right there.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like I can actually feel my blood pressure going up all over again.
So let's take it easy.
It was one of those. Do I really want to bring this up and hear it from? But it's just, how do you not share this? What
a disaster! What a disaster!
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. That's it. And then my poor wife. So,
your poor son, your poor wife. Oh my God!
They're the real MVPs.
They are. I would have let the son go enjoy the game, man. I can't make it, but you can. That would have been selfless.
Yeah, all right. He was online at 4:00.
4:00. You left at 5:15.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Well, what the hell are you supposed to do in the middle of the fucking ocean?
Turn the boat around. That's what you were supposed to do.
I told him because I'm sitting there, I'm hanging out in the wheelhouse, and we're all hanging out. So Elliot left his home, Central Jersey, at 2:00 at the stadium by 4. It was because Elliot and I were texting last night back and forth.
Well, Elliot's smart.
I'm like, I'm trying to come in. I'm trying. I even took a picture of the stadium. I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, for the love of God, let me in. I'm like, this isn't fair. I'm like, here it is. I do all this. I do charity. I always give to people in need.
Well, here we go.
And it comes back to me where somebody actually does something nice for me, and I can't even fucking enjoy it.
You should have yelled iceberg, done something to get that boat turned in the opposite direction and said, look, there's something heading our way. I don't know. You could have just lied. Did you have a weapon? I don't know. Would you use something?
Just shout, we're going to need a bigger boat. I just saw a 25-foot shark swim past. We're going to need a bigger boat. Get back to shore.
Yeah, so that's the stadium story. This one will live in infamy.
What a fail.
Yep. It was terrible.
At least the Yankees won, because had they lost, I don't think you would have made the show today. Well, you would have made the show.
I'd be in jail. I really would. I'd be in prison. No doubt.
What's amazing is I could have flown transatlantic from 10 in the morning and make it to the game.
But, yeah, it was. See, I'm starting to get angry now. But
yeah, I'm just digging at you now. But yeah, that's terrible. Terrible.
It's all for love.
Very disappointed, man.
I was.
You're representing the Pinstripe Chronicles. God damn it.
I believe me. You don't drive around for 2 hours and not try. You really don't.
The crashing of a convenience store. That's my parking spot.
That's what you do in the Bronx anyway, man.
You just park anywhere.
Yeah, it's like GTA, man. Just park in the pavement. Just go ahead and sort it out.
Yeah, believe me, I would be the last time I ever saw my truck. But again, I think we've
exhausted this one.
Yeah, but so they got the update today. We'll be back on tomorrow. We'll be breaking down the expectations of the game, weather permitting. So we want to thank everybody for hanging out. Hope you all had a good laugh at my expense. And this has been the Pinstripe Chronicles. I am Tats with Rob and Donald. Wear your pinstripes, your pride, and play hard.
Don't offer Tats any tickets in future.